some women talking about becoming single again after widowhood or divorce, and knowing that it's okay to develop you
Yeah.
and not necessarily be defined by anything in society. You're developing that self-love, that self-worth, and forgiveness along the way. One lady asked me, well, how is it that you're aging so well? And part of what allowed me to age so well is that I truly do forgive and let go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Charyse Williams Show. Today's conversation is one that we need to be having more often. One that breaks the silence, rewrites the script, and honors the truth of what it means to thrive through menopause, especially as Black women and as professional Black women. I'm joined by the extraordinary Lillian Browning, a women's integrative functional healthcare nurse practitioner with over 3 decades of experience in women's health. She's a certified diabetes educator, a student of ancient healing systems, and a living example of what it means to age with power, purpose, and presence. This episode goes way beyond hot flashes. We're talking about the deep wisdom of the menopausal transition, how to navigate the emotional and physical shifts with grace, and why this season of life is not a decline, it's a becoming. So let's get into it. Hello there, Lillian.
Good morning, Charyse. It is so good to be here. I absolutely love sharing wisdom, sharing experiences, and empowering women. That's my passion. So thank you for allowing me to do what
Yes.
I love most.
That is my joy. That is my absolute joy. And you guys, I always like to kind of share how we met, and honestly, I think Lillian, I think at this point, maybe it's been 3 years or so
Yeah,
that we have been
yes.
doing life together.
December.
Was it
December will be 3 years, correct?
Yes, yes. And Lillian attended one of my master classes. I think it was the
Yes,
Quantum Leap master class. Am I right?
yes,
Yeah, and then we had a couple of conversations, and then she ended up becoming one of my one-on-one private clients, business coaching clients, and we've developed her business and created master classes and sacred Saturdays and raw vegan food, and we've done
yes.
all kinds of things together, which has been such a joy to my heart, and it's just been such a beautiful um, experience witnessing your continued growth, because we're always growing, but your
Yes,
continued growth and blossoming in your entrepreneurial journey. So
yes,
I'm excited to just have this conversation with you today.
yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when we think about beyond the hot flash, a new era of menopause, wisdom, and wellness, what are some of the first things that come to mind for you?
One of the first things that comes to mind to me is the fact that we spend a lot of energy talking about that the transition of perimenopause and menopause. And that is very true. But more importantly, what happens after that?
Yeah.
Okay, we've made it through perimenopause. We've made it through that transitional date, so to speak, of
Mm,
menopause.
mm-hmm.
What happens beyond that? What happens to the woman, and how does she traverse the now new transition, from reproductive to non-reproductive, and what does that mean to her? How does that affect her thought of herself as a woman, her sensuality,
Mm-hmm.
her sense of purpose, her sense of worth after we transition from this reproductive joy to
Yeah.
now being an elder.
Hmm. Yeah, and you're so right. And particularly now, there's this big wave, this big menopause movement and perimenopause movement, which again, it's important because I remember having a conversation with you about some things, and I'm like, I think I'm in perimenopause. You're like, you are in perimenopause. I'm like, what? And so, and I'm a nurse, but so I think the conversation, definitely needs to be had around perimenopause and even more so, because as I'm seeing things and having conversations, I'm seeing so many things online, like, how come no one told us about this? And, what to expect and all the things. But then the conversation, I feel, ends there. And you're so right. Okay, now once you are in menopause, then what? So for everyone listening that may not even be clear, what's quote unquote what's deemed menopause? How do you know you are no longer in perimenopause and now you are officially post-menopause or in menopause?
To say that you're in menopause means that you have gone 12 months without a menstrual cycle. The day after that is postmenopause. Okay.
Yeah.
So menopause is a pretty brief 1 year, 12-month period of time. What happens after that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We say we're in menopause. Well, actually, we're postmenopause.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens physiologically? What happens psychologically? I can recall walking into my bathroom, looking in the mirror and going, "Who's that lady?"
Mm.
Because there's a lot of physiological changes, physical changes, cognitive changes, and how do we embrace all that? Because that is not for a 12-month period. Postmenopause is all the way until we decide to ascend, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
So to me, the focus for my age group, those of us who are post-menopausal, the focus is, who are we now? What
Mm-hmm.
do we traverse? What is our purpose? Um, what can we share about our journey? What can we share about how we are now even more empowered? And
Yeah.
how can we affect the generations that are coming up after us? I'm a great grandmother, an absolute joy to be one, and I take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share how I survived so many things
Mm-hmm.
with excellence,
Mm-hmm.
not, oh my God, no, with
With
excellence, with
excellence.
dignity, with integrity, with
Yes.
authenticity. But this is the beyond the hot flash. The hot flash was indeed that hot period of life, right? So now, what? Who are we? How do we
Right.
go on? How do we walk into a room and command it as opposed to walk into a room and diminish because we think,
Mm.
we're older, we're not, as worthy. No. How do you
Yeah.
walk in?
I love that. How do you walk in? And so you mentioned there's so many things that we can so many directions we can go just from what you just said. But I want to kind of just take it back for a hot second because you mentioned physiological changes. You mentioned looking in the mirror, right? And so the physiological changes, the cognitive changes. So what are some of the things that you've seen personally for yourself, the changes you've seen in yourself, and then that you've seen maybe in, with working with women, maybe even friends or just in community? What are some of those things?
I'd like to kind of put a jovial twist on that physiological change.
Okay.
I can recall like going to a class reunion, right? And you're looking around and you're saying, wow, everybody looks so much older. And they're thinking the same
Same
thing
thing.
about you. Okay. And it isn't a negative. I mean, we're still here, right? We're
That's
still
right. That's right.
so it isn't a negative, but I think it is important to be able to embrace who you see in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that is a process,
Hmm.
because I remember that 40-year-old Lillian. I remember the 50-year-old Lillian. And when the 60 plus year old Lillian showed up in the mirror, I'm like, okay, good morning, gorgeous.
I love it. Good morning, gorgeous.
That's how you start.
Yeah,
And how do they say that? You keep saying something until you believe it.
that's
Well, good
right.
morning, gorgeous. And like I said, embracing it all, the gray hair, the 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 the, the changes in the physiology, and using things that I've really learned through my time with you, Charyse, and that is how to stay healthy, the
Hmm.
optimal healthiness,
Yeah.
eating well, moving the body. Um, Very, very important things. I can recall trying to get off the floor one day, and it was quite a show.
Hmm.
And now, by moving my body more, I can get off of that floor, not as dignified as I like, but still I can get up. Okay.
And that
And
that and that is a blessing.
and that is a blessing. That is a
Yeah.
blessing. You tend to kind of go into what we call of older age, and that's sitting on the couch, moving because you're not really motivated.
Mm.
Okay, so you develop that motivation. You tell yourself, okay, get up. You're going to do these things. You're going to go places. You're going to visit. Where the comfort zone is just sitting on the couch. Used to be looking at TV. Now it's sitting on the couch scrolling through your phone, right? So
TV looking at you.
yeah, TV looking at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I personally am. And
Mhm.
another thing is applauding your survival. As older women, particularly as older African American women, we have survived some storms.
Yes, indeed.
And the storms were more qualified by a woman by the name of Arlene Geronimos, who looked at the health of aging African American women versus other ethnicities.
Hmm.
And there was such a decline in the African American woman who was aging compared to other ethnicities. And she, why?
Hmm.
And what she was able to determine was the chronic stress
Yeah.
of attempting to survive through all of the adversities, disparities that African American women face that are not faced by the majority of other ethnicities. And she coined a word, and the word she called it was weathering. All of us know that if you have a rock and you have water traversing that rock year after year, as strong as that rock is, eventually it's going to give a little,
Mm-hmm.
particularly where the water persistently,
Mm-hmm.
consistently went across it. And that is what the knowledge I've gained through reading her study is that with the African American woman, we all are strong, right? She is.
Mm-hmm.
But after years and years and years of small microaggressions, major aggressions,
Mm-hmm.
so many different pressures,
Yeah.
there's a part of her that gives undesired by her, meaning she's not like giving up. She's
Right.
still she's still that rock, but you can see the grooves.
Mm-hmm.
And that is called weathering. Um, I look at my contemporaries, my friends, and I can see its effects in all of us. So, what are some of the effects? High blood pressure. Okay, you say, well, that's hereditary. Everything that's hereditary doesn't have to be owned by an individual.
Absolutely.
Okay, I see diabetes. I see people, unfortunately, very quote unquote young, strokes.
Mm.
Women who are working so hard to stay functional, stay productive, working long hours to help their families,
Mm-hmm.
succumbing to a health event.
Yeah.
That's weathering. And the more I learn about it, the more I look at how can we thrive
Yes.
in spite of it, because the microaggressions are going to continue. The aggressions are going to continue.
Macro,
The
micro, all of it.
macro, micro,
Yeah.
the disparities are going to continue. How do we stay strong? How do we reduce the weathering? And those are some of the ancient wisdoms that
Mm-hmm.
um, I've incorporated and I share. And those are meditation. Meditation is a form of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you really take that time to connect to the higher power within you.
Yeah.
Tapping. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I learned actually through my older sister. And, it kind of seems like, you're just kind of hitting yourself. No, you're
No.
rewiring. You're taking
Yes.
away from that direct weathering groove and
Mm-hmm.
kind of dispersing that energy away from you.
Yeah.
Um, I've learned the benefit of moderate exercise,
Mm-hmm.
light weight bearing.
Mm-hmm.
and how when you put those weights down, you're lighter. Okay. And you can, kind of um, philosophically put those weights down, meaning
Yeah, that's
you're
good.
letting go of what
Mm-hmm.
is weighing you down. Okay. Um, so those are kind of the things that I want to share. Those
Yeah,
are how I survive. And I never want to forget the angels. And people say,
always.
angels?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are angels? Mostly angels are messengers sent by our higher power, maybe even our higher self that we've attracted to us, with
Mm-hmm.
messages of encouragement, with messages of unconditional acceptance and
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love. And those angels help to buoy us. Human beings need other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We truly cannot traverse this world solo. Some
Right.
of us think we can, and we do a pretty good job. But if we really focus, there was an angel here and
Oh yeah, and you know what's interesting is that when you even look at other communities and other cultures and ancient cultures, we thrive in community. We thrive in community, and so I think it's so important, no matter what your age is, but even more so as you are advancing in age, that you maintain or create that community. And Lillian, I mean, you're a shining example of that, moving pretty much across the country, developing a new set of
there.
friends and community tribe. Yes, a
I
tribe.
developed
And
a new
y'all, let me
tribe.
tell you something. Lillian is out of the country, in the country, out of the state, in the state, different parts of the state, experiencing life and living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful to witness.
And we all can do it.
Yeah.
All of us are affected by finances. But
Mm-hmm.
what is amazing is once you open up to that community, you will find yourself kind of flowing into places in spite
Yeah.
of finances.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a couple of retreats, and my angel was able to afford to allow me to go. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's don't put a cap on
Right.
what you can do, because again, you're flying solo. The
Mm-hmm.
community and what you have to give to the individuals that give to you, your wisdom,
Yes.
your presence, even. Sometimes it's just our spirit of our wisdom. People enjoy being around that
Mm-hmm.
positive energy.
Right.
So,
Well,
they
and there's so
will,
much depth that you
yeah,
bring. Like,
definitely,
because again, all the years of life and experiences and learning and evolving, and then being able to, bring that into the room. That's what I think gets missed a lot when we think. I think like the maybe the negative, if there is a negative side of menopause, gets focused on, and not enough attention, I believe, is brought to what I just mentioned, all the experiences, the wisdom, the evolving, the learnings, and
yes,
that you're able to now to contribute
right,
to whoever else is fortunate enough to be in the room and to be
right,
able to just be in that, to even sometimes just to sit in the presence, silently sit in the presence of, again, the energy that's being exchanged verbally and non-verbally, the wisdom that's being exchanged, the poise, the presence, all of it. It's
yes.
powerful.
And hearing the stories of
Yes.
how we overcome, quote unquote, what we may call failures,
Right.
setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember many, many years ago, I was in my 30s, and it just seemed like the walls had come up, and I was running into them and I couldn't impact it. And a very wise woman told me, you look at the goal,
Mm.
not the journey, but you keep your eye on the goal. When you fall, you dust off, you get
Right.
up and keep going toward the goal.
Yeah.
And eventually you will reach that goal. And that's what I mean by elders sharing. The younger, the youth are talking about their challenges, letting them know, yeah, I had them too.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And I kept my eye on the goal and even the development of a goal, because sometimes we don't know where we want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, then you don't get anywhere,
You
right?
don't get anywhere. You can't hit a target
So,
that doesn't exist.
right. And the
You
goal
don't know what
doesn't
you're
have to
aiming for.
be magnificent. The goal may simply be I want to live well. And
Right.
then you redefine, okay, what does that look like
What
for
does
you?
that look like for you? Yeah.
And the elders can help to nurture that individual as they're developing and recognizing and defining their goals. And
Yeah.
it doesn't stop. I'm nearly 70 years old and I still have goals. I'm still identifying goals. I'm still
Yeah.
achieving goals.
Absolutely. And I know that this is a conversation that we've had over the course of the 3 years, and I've had this conversation with other women who I've had the pleasure of working with, whether again it was one-on-one coaching or even transcendence, or even because you were in transcendence and even in the process practitioner program, and it's the idea or thought like I'm too old. But
Mhm.
Lillian, like, can you just share with the people that are listening how you've been able to overcome or transcend that thought, because you are, like I said, over the last 3 years you've created a whole new lane, a whole new business.
Yes.
So
I think the first thing is to identify that you have that thought process.
yes.
I'm too old. The second thing is to realize that as long as you are moving under your own power, age is nothing but a number,
Nothing but a number.
nothing truly. And you move according to how you are able to move.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to have a goal of running a triathlon. That is not my goal.
Mm-hmm.
My particular body would not appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't appreciate it.
It would not. And it
Mm-hmm.
probably would not participate. So you make realistic goals for yourself and go toward them.
Yeah.
Not sitting down saying, well, I'm too old. And let me tell you, that's part of weathering because
Yeah.
that's the message. The message is you don't have that body anymore. The
Mm-hmm.
message is you don't have that face anymore. The message is you don't have that cognition anymore. So
Yeah.
sit down.
Mm.
No.
Yeah.
Take that which you have. What are you good at? What have you been good at? And
Mm-hmm.
keep refining that and
That.
keep going toward that. What would you like to do? I know people who would love to write books and they've
Mm-hmm.
begun doing so.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who want to develop exercise programs for aging women, and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
I know women who are like wanting to eat better and learning how to do raw vegan preparation of foods. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and the health benefits of that.
Yeah.
So the idea of I'm too old will
It's
only limit you if you truly buy into that.
yeah.
And
It's
if you
one
buy into it, then you are.
right. It's one of those self-imposed
It's
limitations.
self-imposed.
True.
Society makes you want to go there.
Right. Yeah.
What's pretty, what's
Mm-hmm.
smart, and that
Mm-hmm.
tends to leave out the aging woman.
Yeah.
But,
What?
but only if you decide to believe society. We've surpassed expectations of society throughout our human history.
You've got that right.
So why would we, settle for you too old? I'm
Right.
not hearing it.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Lillian, you've been in women's health for over 30 years. What do you think we're still getting wrong? And I think we've unpacked a little bit of this, but what do you think we're still getting wrong about menopause and weathering and aging, especially for Black women? Be that culturally, clinically, wherever you see the gaps.
I honestly, Charyse, I believe the gaps are becoming less. Meaning, the conversations are now out there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Oprah, you've got Haley Berry, you've got just a preponderance of commercials and reels. So I think that we're starting to see the point and missing it a little less. So
Yeah.
I think the battle for the recognition of perimenopause, the recognition of what happens in perimenopause, what happens in menopause, what happens in post-menopause, the conversation is being had.
Mm-hmm.
And we come up with an absolute recipe on how to manage those. Not yet. And I don't know we'll ever have absolute because it's very personalized.
Right, for sure.
If you, are in one of those seasons and you go to a medical provider, a holistic provider, you will see that it has to be tailored to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're getting it as opposed to missing it.
Yeah.
I think that we're seeing the worth of the woman throughout the aging process, from
Mm-hmm.
her, teenage days to now her post-menopausal days. I think that we're missing less. We're even finding out that this major study that told women you can't take estrogen
Estrogen, right.
therapy. It was
Yeah.
a big deal, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s. Us as providers, we were like, oh, we can't give it to her.
Mm-hmm.
We've come to find out that it was misinterpreted.
Mm.
And indeed, women benefit, particularly women in their 50s going through perimenopause and menopause, benefit highly from using estrogen. So I think the conversation is being had. I think we missed it,
Mm-hmm.
but now we're getting it.
And yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And you said something earlier. You said the word sacred, and I think we've actually mentioned the word sacred several times that we've been on. And you actually conduct or facilitate a Sacred Saturday. You guys, if you have not had the opportunity to attend one of Lillian's Sacred Saturdays, be on the lookout and get yourself there. But sacred, so you call this sacred stage of life, right?
Yes.
How can women begin to see this stage of life, menopause, post-menopause, I guess really is the more accurate. But how can they begin to see post-menopause, not as a breakdown, but more as a breakthrough?
I think the first way to begin to see the sacredness of it is the self-love
Yeah.
and loving whom you are. Not, sitting in guilt about what was, what could be, and what should be. Where are you now?
Mm-hmm.
The wisdom that we have is sacred. Whom we share it with, we're sharing the benefit of so many experiences. And that makes this time special.
Mm-hmm.
So when we use the word special, we go up a notch, maybe several notches. And this time is not just special, it's sacred. We're still here. We're still learning. We're still evolving. We're still teaching and giving, nurturing. That's the sacredness of it. But it begins with loving whom you are. Simply loving that woman in the mirror. Remember, I was like, who's that lady?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Hello, gorgeous. Good morning. Good morning, gorgeous.
Then I was like, well, good morning, gorgeous. That's the development. That was whom I have become.
Yeah.
And the woman that was in her 40s, she was pretty cool. But the woman I am now, oh my God.
Yeah.
She is more than gorgeous. She is sacred.
Mm.
And also know that your time, your energy can only be tapped into by those who are worthy of it.
Yes.
It isn't fickle of you to say, this is, my time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to come into my space, you have to recognize that you're in the presence of excellence.
Will you say it again?
You're in the presence of excellence.
Yeah.
So sacredness and how a woman can embrace that begins with loving yourself, valuing whom you are individually, not comparing, not a comparison of who she is or who she is, but who are you?
Yeah.
And the value you bring. Your value may be something that people don't see, except for your grandbabies, or your great grandbabies. They only see that, and that's enough, because you're impacting whom they will become and how they view this world that we're living in.
For sure.
And the impact that you bring to them. It doesn't have to be that you're a political figure or you're a professional figure. For them, you are sacred. For them, you are that excellence.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about
I
women
love that.
embracing their personal sacredness.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And then for the high achieving woman navigating midlife, business, potentially burnout from, from their job or whatever, what would you say is the first step toward reclaiming her energy, reclaiming her vitality, reclaiming her voice even?
Take a pause and ask the hard questions. Is this fulfilling me? Am I fulfilling the purpose that I wanted or want?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is just take a pause, be with yourself. Part of moving from Louisiana to New Mexico was an opportunity for me to be with myself,
Mm-hmm.
for me to identify those things that where I was giving too much of me and not restoring whom I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That time that you spend with yourself is you're not being selfish, you're being self-loving.
Yes.
And for that woman, take a pause. Is this really giving me what I need? And that's not selfish.
Mm-mm.
You can't give from an empty cup.
Right.
So you restore yourself and identify, is that the right path for my fulfillment? It really is a good path. It really is a good idea. It really is a worthy goal. But is it best for me?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I look at another path?
Yeah.
Equally as dynamic. Maybe not as
Mm-hmm.
loud,
Maybe
but
not
it's
as what?
loud.
Allowed. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Maybe not as loud,
Mm-hmm.
but equally as important. Because if we are going to the point of burnout, along the way we're losing bits and pieces of ourselves
Yes.
until we come to a place where we are a shell of
Mm.
whom we want to be. The idea is take a pause.
Yeah.
And I love it that it's tied to our talk
I
today.
know. I was just thinking that. Menopause, take a
Yeah,
pause. That's
take a
very
pause. You know,
apropos.
apropos.
Absolutely.
At
Mm-hmm.
menopause, that may be the time to take that pause
Yeah, I
and
think
say,
it
okay,
is.
where am I going? Where do I want to go?
Yeah, that's the question. Not even where I'm going, because you're going on the trajectory that, based on what you've previously done, which
Hmm.
is great if what you have previously done is still in alignment with where you desire to go. But for many, it's not. They're just it's the trajectory of what you've already put in place. But I think this is a really important time to take the pause and ask ourselves, where do I want to go next? What's in alignment with what I truly desire now in this stage of life and moving forward?
And it's okay to change your mind.
It is absolutely.
You
But
might have thought, I want to go that way. I want to, I don't know, climb Mount Everest. And then you say, you know what, that hill's pretty cool.
that
If I,
feels pretty cool.
if I climb that hill, I'm good.
I feel pretty good about that. Yeah.
Right. And it's enough.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
enough. So the idea, I love it too. I did it. I took a pause. I
Hmm.
left everything and everyone I knew. And I came to a place where I knew no one.
Yeah.
And initially, it was to spend time with me.
Hmm.
And along the way, there were angels. And at this point in time, I have a tribe.
So
So
beautiful.
the idea is, again, take the pause. Know that it's okay to change your mind. Yes, that idea was amazing. And you traveled as far down that road as it felt good to you to do so.
Hmm.
And it's okay to change paths. There's no lack. There's no failure.
Mm-mm.
It's a change. And isn't that what life is about?
Oh, if there's anything that's constant in life, it is change. It is
Correct.
that of change. So,
Correct. And you can change it at any point. At
right.
any point,
Yeah.
you can change your mind.
And I love, Lillian, that again, now we have so many examples of this. Like I see, I don't know if you're familiar with Annette Larkin, or even, oh goodness, her name is not coming to me, but we're seeing women now that, I can't think of her name, but she didn't start really looking after herself and like in terms of physical health until her 40s. And then she started competing in bodybuilding. And now
Yes,
she's
yes,
80. Now she's 80
yes,
and looks phenomenal. You've got Chef
yes,
Yvette, and who's in her, I want to say she's 67. Maybe she might be 70 now, but
yes,
a power, well, that's a brick house,
yes.
and so really even redefining what it looks like to be in menopause, but
Yeah.
not just physically, but those are really two great examples of physical representations that, you know, 30, 40 years ago, we thought if you were 60, you were a little shriveled up person in the corner. And now you've got 60-year-olds. Glennis, Glennis, she just ran a 5K.
Yes.
And this was not something she's been doing. This is new for
Right,
Glennis, right?
right.
And so I love how we are reclaiming our power. Oh, go ahead. What were we going to say?
Well, I guess what I also want to say is that, there was a focus when we were 20s, 30s, 40s, and that was taking care of our families, raising our
Right.
children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the focus was less on self
Mm-hmm.
and more on those things that we needed to do. And the beauty is that now we can transition because we've done that. We've
Mm-hmm.
raised those children. We've done what we needed to do during that period of time. And this is like so cool that you can just do you, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're blessed to be in a relationship, then you could do you with your partner.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a really awesome time
Yeah.
of life, but understanding that some of what we went through may have affected you and how you can heal from that and keep
Mm-hmm.
moving on. And that's where I bring back the weathering. I truly humbly tell women or recommend to women to read about weathering and read about maybe why you're feeling a certain kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
and then using coping mechanisms, resources to decrease those grooves that were placed in you
Yeah.
through this process of living, particularly living as a community of people who fought with disparities
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
continue to do so.
Very powerful. Any last, because we've talked about so much. We've talked about so much misconceptions of what this phase of life is, air quotes, supposed to be. Really redefining what it is, reclaiming your power, understanding the sacredness of this time of life. We talked about the importance of community, and if you don't have it, build it, create it. Create a new one. Like you, again, you move to a whole nother place on the map, and you created a new tribe, and which opened up so many new experiences that you
Yes.
would, yes, like the
Never
retreats
had.
you would never had, the
Yeah.
retreats, the level of friendship, like the depth of friendships that you have created,
Yes.
or that
And the
have,
exploration of this, of this world.
yeah.
The world is so big and there's so much beauty. And
Hmm.
it's what a cool time to see it,
I'm telling you. So yeah, any last words that you would like to share for the woman in postmenopause? Um, Anything that's coming up specifically to speak into
What
her right
kind of
now?
came up, and I'm struggling to find the words, is to develop that self-love. Because it may not just be like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm gonna take care of me. Developing the idea that you are worthy, that
Yes.
it's okay to have experiences outside of what you defined as norm to
Hmm.
begin with. I've listened to some women talking about becoming single again after widowhood
Hmm.
or divorce, and knowing that it's okay to develop you
Yes.
and not necessarily be defined by anything in society. You're developing that self-love, that self-worth, and forgiveness. along the way. One lady asked me, "Well, how is it that you're aging so well?" And part of what allowed me to age so well is that I truly do forgive and let go.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not going to forget. My brain, it happened. I
Right.
remember, but I let it go. I truly forgive it, because
Right.
when we don't forgive, it impacts us. It impacts our
Mm-hmm.
DNA.
And
It
it,
impacts our health.
absolutely. Physical,
So,
mental, emotional, spiritual.
not
Yeah.
holding on to a infraction that you feel was done,
Mm-hmm.
and letting go and forgiving doesn't mean that you dismiss someone else's accountability. It
Mm-hmm.
simply means that it's not living in your DNA.
That's right. That's powerful too. And when you said that, I got the visual of what you said a second ago about putting down the weights. Putting down the weights. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
so good.
So
This is so
my like I said, my last words, or the last thought that I'd like to leave, is developing that self-love within yourself and not
good.
seeing it as a selfishness. Because
Hmm.
love isn't selfish by and
Hmm.
large. Love is not selfish. So loving you is not selfish.
Right.
It's part of what should be first. Because my grandfather used to always tell me, he was a Cajun Creole,
Hmm.
and he would say, Tibet, you can't love nobody unless you love yourself.
And that's the truth. And that's a beautiful place to end on. Thank you. That's good stuff. And I love the accent.
Yeah, Tibet.
I love it. So, well, why don't we do some rapid fire questions and then we'll bring this beautiful sacred conversation to a close. How does that sound?
That sounds really good.
Awesome. All righty. So, think back, Lillian. Who was your celebrity childhood crush or teenage crush?
My teenage crush was Tito Jackson.
Was it really?
Yeah, because I felt like he was like the glue, like he was steady.
Yeah.
You had all of the hype with the others, but he
Hmm.
was always Tito. Okay.
Yeah. Steady
So
Tito.
yeah, he was steady. So he was my teenage crush.
Hmm. I love it.
And now if you want to go a little further,
Go for it.
to my young adult crush, and that was Danny Glover. There was
Ah,
just something about Danny Glover that again was it was constant. He wasn't
steady.
he was steady, right?
Yeah, I see that.
I saw him in the airport in Dallas many years ago, and I was so starstruck. I literally stood there with my mouth open, looking at this man pass by in the cart. And he did the kindest thing that he could have done.
What did he
He
do?
saw me being starstruck, so he waved.
Oh.
And I thought he didn't ignore me. So I really loved him then. Okay.
I love it. That is so cool. All righty, let's see. Who's one person that you would trade places with for a day, dead or alive? Who's one person you would trade places with for a day?
Maya Angelou.
Mm,
I don't know that I would spend the whole day because I
hmm.
kind of like me.
Yeah,
But if I could, for a moment in time, embody wisdom,
the wisdom.
um, absolute self love, and the ability to empower others, to me, it was Maya Angelou. Her words were so impacting. They penetrated
It
those
did.
souls
Yes.
to really hear her wisdom.
Yeah.
So Maya Angelou.
Yeah. And she, I would say, going back to our entire conversation, I think that she is a beautiful embodiment of everything that we've been talking about,
Yes.
honoring the wisdom, the poise, the grace, owning the room. And then and then the empowerment of her presence, even if she wasn't saying anything, but
That's
then right. But then even when she opened her mouth, you were like, whoa. Whoa, okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I can totally see that. And you represent that. I've told you that so many times. I'm like, I could listen to you all day. The depth of your voice, the richness of your voice. It's like velvet or leather, like a fine leather. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but the wisdom and the love that comes from, that really exudes from your presence and your voice. I love that. I appreciate that so much.
I really feel divinely guided that
Hmm.
when I open my mouth, that what comes out is something that is going to lift up
Yeah.
whomever I'm speaking to. Um,
Hmm.
Sometimes it's the person in front of me as a patient, quote unquote client,
Hmm.
and my spirit feels their need. And conversely, there are those times when those spirits walk in and they see mine.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. What would you say is one of your guilty pleasures?
oh my. I think my guiltiest pleasure now is getting in my car and exploring these places. Like I grew up in Louisiana and there were no mountains. And
Hmm.
now, I'll have a destination I'm getting to and I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. So
Yeah.
my true guilty pleasure is I really don't need to go to some of these places like for stores. I'm not going to buy. I'm going to see the geography,
Yeah.
and always food.
Oh, hey, that's part of the journey.
That's part of
While you're exploring those mountains.
Yeah, I'm trying a new something somewhere.
Yeah.
But truly guilty pleasure, burning that gas for no reason other than
Hmm.
to
Because you
see
choose to.
the topography, to see the world, to
Yeah.
see where I am, just to look deeper into what I'm seeing the clouds. I remember one day traveling and looking up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I miss this sometimes. I don't look up."
Mm-hmm. That's a good reminder to look up, to
Yeah,
pause, as you mentioned, and then to look up.
yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah. What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Hmm. The best compliment that I've gotten is, and I continue to get those, is that Miss Lillian, I want to come see you.
Yeah.
So I was put on another schedule, but I want to see you. It makes me feel that I am doing what I hope I'm doing,
Hmm.
and that's impacting that person positively. Mine is women's health. So there's something about an interaction with me that allows them to leave feeling more healed
Hmm.
or more empowered.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah, that's beautiful. I always say, we all have our own secret sauce, and no one can do what we can do the way we can do it. And so that's what I'm hearing when you say, people say, "Well, I want to see you." Like I know they put me with somebody else, but no, 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 I'm coming to see you because no, your medicine, you have a special sacred medicine that only you
yes, I
give.
love that, Charyse.
Yeah.
Yeah, our personal sacred medicine, and
Yeah.
it is within each of us.
Absolutely.
No putting down any other person, but when that person says that to me, it's not a comparison. It's
Mm.
an affirmation that I
Yes.
reached a need,
Yes.
and that brings joy to me.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, this has been so good. Such a refreshing conversation. Like I said, much needed conversation because it's not talked about enough. I don't believe. Again, like I said, the
Mhm.
big focus I think has been really perimenopause, but this conversation of menopause, post-menopause, and all the beauty that is in this stage of life is needs to be discussed more. And I feel so blessed and honored that I was able to have this conversation with you.
Yeah,
So thank
I'm
you.
so blessed and honored that you chose to do it.
Yeah.
There are many of us in this postmenopausal stage, 10 years out, 15 years out of menopause, who haven't been heard
Mm,
or seen. And if we missed anything, it's that lady.
yeah.
When you asked about what was missed, and we're filling the gap,
Hmm.
what we're doing right now, because she still hasn't been a focus.
Hmm. True. True, true, true. Well, thank you for your presence, for your grace, for your wisdom, for your love, Thank you for all of it. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that, not just with me, but with everyone that's listening or watching. So thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. And
And
thank
for
you.
You're very welcome. For those of you who are watching or listening, as always, I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you next time on another episode of the Charyse Williams Show. Bye for now.